So can you tell me, is this something that people can vote on, and then the Supreme Court can all of a sudden be like, nope, we're ruling this out. What rule does the state Supreme Court hold in all this?
Seth, great question. And this is something that happens in states all the time. Is like a party, whether it's right or left, they'll sue, particularly in an area they know the circuit court judge will side with them. And so that happened very early on in this process. The Republicans went to a place called Tazewell County where a conservative judge is, and he said, "No, you can't do this," because they needed more notice, or there was just administrative bullshit, right? And it's and that was overturned by the Virginia Supreme Court. And at least in California, the United States Supreme Court also upheld their maps. So at least they're being consistent because they did that for Texas and they did it for California. So every evidence says, like, even if this goes through, the the maps are going to stay in place if it goes through. And I think that the Virginia Supreme Court will allow it. And if that doesn't happen, then the United States Supreme Court will let it happen. Again, I can tell you it's a bit of a doozy for candidates because we're constantly in flux running in one or two districts at this point. But I'm at least if they have any semblance of keeping a consistent track record, this thing will hold. Doesn't mean it's going to stop the Republicans, but I think they're just going to waste their money, which I'm all about. Do
Yeah.
it.
It's true. We love that.
And one other thing I want to say about that, and I'm just glad that that's the case, and the voice of the people are going to be heard on this, is because it is the voice of the people. People in Texas didn't get to vote on this. Missouri
Exactly.
didn't get to vote on this. California said the people will be heard. Virginia is saying the people will be heard. Also in Utah. So, this is how we do things over on the Democrat side. The
Yeah.
Republicans are shamelessly grabbing power while we are leaving it up to our constituents. And I'm just glad that we can be the proper example in a time like this.
Yeah.
There's very few times when people get a choice in policy. The reason I like elections is because it doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter where you're from in your state, doesn't matter what school you went to, your vote counts just as much as somebody else's. It's maybe the one equalizer we have in this country, and that's another reason why the other side likes to undermine it every chance they get and tries to make it harder for people to vote, like they're doing with the SAVE Act and like they're doing with a lot, what they've been doing for decades of just sowing the seeds of doubts without any evidence. But we still have it. At least for now, we still have it. And that's something I take. Voting to me is an obligation, but it's also an exercise of what it means to be an American and to believe in equality and dignity in this country. And so if we were going to change the maps, it had to be at the choice of the people. And so I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we went through that route.
And so to Seth's point, we are doing this, we Democrats are doing this democratically. We're giving, the electors the option of whether or not they want to redistrict during the mid-decade, which is very unusual. But the Republicans, of course, they want to put their foot on the scales.